Hi, this is John Wilcock, and this is the 6th of my shows about China in the fall of 2005. From the airport, huge buildings, the first thing you see. $16 million people live in this city.
T11 side is the fourth broke the Opium War. That was the first Opium War, and there was concession combined to each combined, and it called it international.
Frantic building all the time. At one time, it said half the cranes in China were here.
Building right over there, very, and it was a TV station. I don't know, it's a TV tower. It's called the Westing. 5-star. Opera House, and the T11 is round on the top of the round, and the bottom is the flag in front of it. That's the site, the museum center, right over there, the right one. In the old days, it's called the Sasson's house, belongs to a British Jew. And the building, okay, with the white and the pink idea about what is the Nanjing Road. The Beach Hotel is the Citibank at the bottom. This is the Cathay Hotel, and he came to the 18th floor to see the bird view of Shanghai at times. But not, this is not the tourist building in China today. So we got off the bus here. Can you bring your camera and your video with?
Of course, that's the famous Bund that we just came down with, all the old buildings dating from British occupation. So we just walked from there, we're on the way to the waterfront. So here we are by the river, and right behind him there is the International Conference Center, appropriately like a globe. That's supposedly the world's tallest TV tower. And apparently the lights at the Shanghai at night are pretty sensational, so I'll presumably come back. And behind us, of course, is the Bund, which we just drove all the way down.
You have to go back to the other side of the river. The Armani building.
Now British-style telephone boxes. Well, having arrived in Shanghai, we're staying in a Radisson hotel, which is really very nice because it's sort of in a nice, peaceful area with lots of big mansions around. This is the view from my upper window. I'm on the 9th floor, and I'm now going to kind of search around. I don't quite know what I've found, but I've teamed up with a couple from San Diego, really nice types, and we peeled off from the main party who went looking around a big park. It's a grey day and we've done too much walking already, so we peeled off and came to the hotel and checked in, and I'm going to meet them downstairs and we're going to set off and explore something. I don't yet know what. The Radisson's a really nice hotel. I'll show you the room. The bed's already cluttered with all my stuff. But we got up at 5 o'clock this morning to take the plane from Xi'an, and so I think after we've gone to see the lights, that'll be an early night. Strolling around in a market area, very busy. All our colleagues on this tour are going around some boring park or other, and I've seen enough of that. long walks around palaces and temples and stuff. Thousands of stalls here.
Okay.
Selling everything. And everybody stops you and tries to sell you a watch or a handbag.
What, 100? Ellie, you tell her how much.
No, it's leather.
100.
Joking. How big size?
No, I need large.
17.25 solo.
¿Y cuánto querían? 800.
Every stall has people who grab your arm and try and sell you whatever it is they're trying to sell. Very hard to even move.
Yeah, darker than this color.
What's this?
No, those important. No. This kind of thing scares me about me. Okay, how much? Muy bonita, muy bonita. Ay, Chucky, momento. 我还搞很搞的呢。没有发生吧？ Esta two color. Esta. Mira.
Chinese herbs. Big argument about something or other. This is in a town that in daytime seems to have far too many taxis. They're all over the place. But wait till it rains and then it seems like 16 million Shanghaians are all trying to get into a taxi at once. We've waited on the corner for at least half an hour. I've been totally unable to get one. It's raining and every single person in town seems to want a taxi. And I'm quite sure what we're going to do next. It's such a classy hotel, this. It's one of the Radisson chain. I'll show you what it looks like from the mezzanine here. But I mainly put on the camera to show that they have this trio playing in the lobby. 3 ladies playing classical music. Okay, and so to bed. Looking out of my hotel room window in Shanghai at the in the growing skyline, where huge buildings are going up almost daily, and where at one time half the cranes in China are supposed to be employed, maybe even today. I see that nearby somebody appears to be building a swimming pool on the top of the building. It's a big building, I don't know what it is, but it's right next to this hotel I'm living in. The papers never tire of being proud of Shanghai's building boom, which is not surprising. There's some very rich people here with a lot of money in this city. And speaking of the papers, reminds me that there's a good daily here called the Shanghai Daily. It's a tabloid. It's better than the China Daily, which is the paper that's available in Beijing. So layout is more English or more New York Post-ish than New York Times-ish. Not a bad paper, actually. I've got quite a lot of information out of it. Well, for my first trip to China, I decided to take a tour. I was a bit chary about traveling on my own in a country like this, which I didn't know anything about. And I took a tour with Ritz. I don't know if they're... I don't want to necessarily recommend them over any other. There are many tour companies. And I also, they put me on Japan Airlines, which is a great airline. Much better than I understand China Airlines, which is one of the other airlines they use. And so it was a very short trip. It was 9 days, but it was only... it was like 3 days in Beijing, Xi'an to see the warriors there, and then Shanghai, a couple of days in Shanghai, which to my surprise I found to be quite enough. I may come back, but I have to say that the tour itself is really a bargain. I feel it's a bargain. Cost me about $2,300, that's apart from square, sort of the center of Shanghai, if you could say there was a center in such a big place. And I came here by taxi, and because she picked me up at an expensive hotel, she tried to charge me 50 yuan, when in actual fact it's 15 yuan, which is about just slightly less than $2. It's about 8 to the dollar. I guess she figures anybody who picks up an expensive hotel doesn't know the difference, but fortunately I had already been in a taxi and knew how cheap they were. There's a lot of greenery which is protected by a fence, so it's sort of mainly to look at, and some rather colourful floral arrangements. Some of the buildings are kind of interesting, overlooking the square. And then there's this relatively tiny central plaza, if you're thinking in terms of Tiananmen in Beijing, which can hold 1 million people. Relax in one way or another, but otherwise it's no big deal. I think I'll head somewhere else. I had the cab driver bring me to something on the map called Shanghai Old Street. I figured that to be something here worth videotaping. No doubt about it, it looks old. Hello? Good place to buy antiques, I would guess. I'd barely stepped out of the cab and a guy accosted me by the arm and said he wanted to sell me things from the Ming Dynasty for very cheap. The Ming Dynasty was what? 1300 years ago? I don't know, a long time. I don't know how cheap it would have been. Here comes the tour party. I forgot to mention that, of course, most of the tour parties are actually Chinese rather than foreign, anywhere in China. You can still buy Mao's little red book and a whole array of other things. That's quite a load on his bicycle. And this is the side street from Shanghai's old street. A lot of people really don't want to have the photographs taken. I don't know whether that's just shyness, anger, like the old Indian thing about taking away part of your soul, or what. But a lot of people just shake their hand in front of them when you try and take the photograph. Of course, I always quit because, you know, people are unpredictable. I don't want to get beaten up. Now here's what I would consider as a bit of an anomaly. You see this incredible building here, and on the corner it's really impressive. But down here, just next to the entrance, is a McDonald's, just tucked into the framework. Of course, as you know, in Hollywood there's that one that's a replica of Rick's Cafe in the movie Casablanca. The kimono shop. Yukata is the lightweight kimono. I don't know what they call them in China, but that's the Japanese name. I don't really know what these are. They seem to be very popular. They're all shapes and sizes. Well, not all shapes. Definitely all sizes. There's a whole mixed bundle of them. And there's a lot of this carved stuff too. I don't know what it is exactly. I guess to put on your wall or something. Glittery place, if I saw one. A few gringos sat around having tea. Well, I've been up one side of the street and down the other. I wonder why they called it Shanghai Old Street instead of Old Shanghai Street. I've been waiting to see if somebody will buy something from this guy selling stuff, but I haven't seen anybody yet. I don't know what it is he's selling, to tell you the truth. We're going under the river.
I want slow.
Of the river, this side of the river. On the other side of the river is the Bund, which we're going to next, which is the old Victorian building filled area of Shanghai, which is so famous. In the meantime, a little bit of the panorama on this rather grey day. Shanghai seen from the 58th floor near the river. That's the telecom tower, I think, communications tower, television probably. Continuing around the round top of the building, the river itself bends. Big park down below. I never saw a men's room with such a fantastic view before. Turning the camera around. In fact, come to mention it, it's quite a men's room. That's me there in the mirror, of course. So it's out to the elevator and we'll go down and cross the river again to the Bund. But before I go, I found you could get even higher. I'm now on the 85th floor, looking down. Those are all different floors with different rooms. Isn't that amazing? I stopped on the 54th floor to have a coffee and admire the view, and because I'm on my own, And they brought the coffee, they brought a copy of the paper to read. Of course I read it today already, but nice gesture. The coffee incidentally cost 44 yuan, which is about nearly $6, but worth it for the view. So this is what it looks like from the outside. It's a Hyatt, but you could equally call it the highest, probably. If it's not the highest building here, it's certainly one of them. Kind of attractive. A guy passing by with a video camera said it is actually the highest, but there is a higher one being built, which I'm sure is always the case. I find it slightly amusing that you can't get back across the river. In fact, you can't cross the river at all except by car or cab. Maybe it's to keep the peasants out. The bridges and underpasses are only for traffic, not for humans. Of course, it would be a long walk. It's a very wide river. So we got stuck by a traffic light crossing the Jeep that even though I've taken 4 today, this is the 4th, it doesn't quite add up to what the single coffee cost. Well, this is a slow one, so it might be a bit more, but traffic in Chinese cities is totally horrendous. You get caught in traffic jams for half an hour at a time sometimes. And they absolutely give no quarter. I mean, the maniacs, although oddly enough it seems to be quite safe. I haven't seen any accidents yet, though it seems to me a miracle the way that people drive. Almost there. One of the current building fads is decorating the top of a building in the shape of some kind of flower. I forget what this one's supposed to be. I read about it somewhere. Anyway, these are all the Victorian, mostly British-built buildings of early 20th and 20th century. Well, there's only one other place I want to get to today because I want to get home reasonably early. I've got to be in the hotel lobby at 5:45 tomorrow to take the flight to the airport. And I can't go to the other place. It begins with X. I forget the name for the moment. I can't go there yet because it's a nightlife place, and I'm going to wait till I get the lights here and then take a taxi there and take a look at that and then go back to the hotel. In the meantime, I suppose I could give you a few statistics that I never got around to before. For example, Shanghai itself, 70 tons of dirt and soot from coal burning and diesel exhaust and so on is said to fall on the city every day, and it's a major industrial place in China. Of course, building is just going on unabated at the moment. It's growing tremendously. China itself is 70% still farmers. 70% of its population are farmers. Only actually about 10 to 20% of the land can be cultivated. The rest is nearly all mountains or desert or whatever. The Chinese language, you can guess kind of how overwhelming the country is when you first encounter it. Hi, this is John Wilcock, and this is the 6th of my shows about China in the fall of 2005. But my 3 viewers may have noticed